How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. We just saw something huge happen yesterday. Something that I don't think I've ever seen. A Bitcoin miner was traded more than Tesla, Amazon, Google, all those companies. The numbers are nuts. I want to talk about why this is, show you a very important date. It's actually tomorrow, and it's not because that's when the updates are required for ETF providers. It's actually when we get a different kind of update. We will know who is buying up Bitcoin related companies, crypto companies, because they will most likely update tomorrow. It's been 3 months to the day tomorrow that we got updates on who's buying CleanSpark, who's buying Mara, who's buying Coinbase. So tomorrow is a really important day. I also want to talk about how MicroStrategy is actually increasing their buying. Like they are getting more aggressive, not less aggressive. They're getting more aggressive with how much crypto, how much Bitcoin specifically that they're buying. And a lot of people aren't paying attention to it. If you don't mind, hit subscribe, turn on that bell notification so you can see future videos just like this one. There's also a link down there to Margex where you can trade cryptocurrency. If you want to do that, check it out. There's no KYC, there's no VPN. And if you already have an account, you can sign up some other friends too, and you get some of their trading fees as well in terms of referral payments. So pretty cool. Now, Marathon Digital became the most traded stock of the day, $327 million in volume yesterday. This is huge. I want to talk about also, I will get to how quickly MicroStrategy is buying cryptocurrency. They're actually re-accelerating how fast they're buying. But first I want to cover this. Marathon is breaking records. I mean, take a look at this. They were the most traded stock yesterday. Now keep in mind, this is in terms of volume of shares. So it outpaced Tesla, which is normally number one, and it had about 3 times the normal trading volume, or closer to 2.5 times, I suppose. Marathon traded 105 million shares. Now keep in mind that the price of Marathon is less, so we're talking about shares here. So the money, that volume of actual money transfers was higher on Tesla, but keep in mind, Marathon's a much smaller asset as well. Like Tesla's a $800 billion company. Marathon is just 6.3 billion. So the amount of volume is nuts. They had about $3 billion in volume in dollar terms, which is half the market cap. And it's not just Marathon. You can also see a couple other interesting names on this list. Riot Platforms also had 42 million in shares traded. CleanSpark, 27 million. So yesterday we did have a big day for the miners. I mean, the last month has been nuts for some of these miners. Marathon up 128%. CleanSpark's up a lot over the last 28 days as well. I talk about the miners, and a lot of people don't have access to buy Bitcoin specifically, so they go and buy these miners. I mean, take a look at some of the top owners of Mara, for example, Vanguard and Blackrock. They account for the largest amount of shares of any owner, doubling and tripling the third largest holder. And then Morgan Stanley's on there, Goldman Sachs, a lot of banks and a lot of management companies, a lot of asset managers. They buy these because they can't get exposure to something like Bitcoin. I mean, take a look at Coinbase stock too. Coinbase has been on an absolute run. Doesn't matter really what's happening in crypto land. Doesn't matter what's happening in the stock market. It's been running and running and running since October, up 163%. Part of it is that the ETF should get approved soon, and they are custodying a lot of the assets, so they'll probably make a nice bit of money from that. We also have another deadline that's interesting tomorrow, which is that we will or should get the information for the next batch of who's buying Coinbase, who's buying Marathon, who's buying CleanSpark. The last report was 3 months ago tomorrow. So in the next few days, probably we'll get that, probably tomorrow, but we'll just have to wait to see. But we will get updated numbers. Okay, is Vanguard, is Blackrock buying up a lot of these entities? What are they trying to do? How are they positioning themselves? We will know tomorrow. It's kind of crazy how this is all shaking out. But one thing that we do know is there's a lot of money that's looking at crypto right now. And one of the most well-known entities is MicroStrategy. A lot of people have been paying attention to them, but a lot of people don't realize that they're starting to re-accelerate how much they're buying. This is the fourth quarter 2021 results. So fourth quarter of 2021, we've had 2022, we've had 2023. So this is about 3 years, about 2 years old at this point. They held 125,000 Bitcoin. Now look a year later, so 1 year ago, they held about 132,500 Bitcoin. So they didn't buy many Bitcoin that year, barely anything. They're very quiet. Then this is 6 months later, actually maybe 7 months later, they increased to 152,800. And recently, they've actually been adding a little bit more aggressively. Over the last 90 days, they purchased about 30,750. So keep that in mind, like they were buying a ton in the last bull market. Then 2022, they bought barely anything, 7,000 Bitcoin or so for them is not very much. Then the next 6 months, they buy another 20,000, and then the next 90 days or the next 180 days, depending on how you're looking at it, they move up to another 30,000 Bitcoin. So barely anything, then 20,000 over 6 months, then another 31,000 over 6 months. They're re-accelerating. They're buying more. They're more bullish than ever, in my opinion. They're also probably able to get their hands on more money now that the market's going up, that now that their stock price has gone up. It's easier to buy more Bitcoin. It's easier to get debt. It's easier to dilute and swallow up more Bitcoin. And they've been moving up even faster than the price of Bitcoin. So that's great for their company. So there are entities like this that are re-accelerating buying. And we will see more large entities like Blackrock, Fidelity buy Bitcoin and the like. But we also will see individuals buy Bitcoin. Now, the last 2 weeks, it seemed like we had a massive change. Money market funds were actually going down. The amount of money in money market funds. Now, this week, we actually had money market funds increase by 16.35 billion, back up to about 5.89 trillion. So it seemed like we had money flooding into the market from money markets. Now it seems like, okay, maybe people are just kind of stagnating. Like a couple weeks here or there, there'll be inflows, and a couple weeks here or there, there'll be outflows. But eventually, once the Fed starts lowering rates, you know that capital is going to be coming back into risk assets. Like who's going to hold if they continue to lower rates to 2 or 3%? Who's going to hold money market funds? Of course, some people will hold some allocation, but it's not like you're going to want as much in those assets if there's cheap money, especially with cryptos moving up so quickly, with Bitcoin moving up so quickly this year. And I think that's going to continue. Now, let me know your thoughts on this. I do want to get across the fact that this is pretty substantial. This trading volume is nuts. We know the big entities who are playing in this game. Just don't get stuck on the wrong side. Don't get greedy. If you've been putting off buying something for a very long time, don't wait until it goes up 400, 500% to start buying it. In my opinion, dollar cost average. And if you realize that it's up that much, I'm talking about like Bitcoin miners, right? Don't buy right ahead of the ETF decision, then get dumped on or something like that. I'm not saying to stay away from miners. I'm just saying make sure you make a wise, educated decision moving forward. Don't give in to greed, because we're going to get greedy. All of us are going to get greedy during the bull run. So just make sure you have enough sense and enough planning and enough fortitude, enough control to sell a little bit, to take profits, to think wisely, and to do what you already were planning on doing. And be on the lookout. There are entities like BlackRock and Fidelity that will be getting in, that may be looking for other avenues of getting exposure right now, but MicroStrategy is continuing to buy. They're continuing to buy more and more, and there are other entities that are doing the exact same thing. I guarantee it. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I will see you in the next video. Check out the links underneath.